Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and I want to start this with an apology to you guys. And this is something that I am very aware of with my account, that one area I have failed you as a content creator is Conquest below 4 million GP. I have only played normal Conquest once, and that was the first iteration of Conquest, and that was only because they forced us to do normal mode. They wouldn't let us do hard mode yet. And it was really unfortunate that it's really unfortunate that I don't have a lot of experience there, and I can tell you that I won't be getting anytime soon because I just don't have the time to start a second account and get to that point where I could do Conquest. It's just not a reality for me. And I asked my channel members where they needed help, and they mentioned Conquest below 4 million. So I owe this apology because it's an area that I've failed to really cover because I just don't know. So I kind of asked some people a few questions, and I have some thoughts in my brain of how you guys can get the most out of Conquest to progress your account to the point where by the time hard mode rolls around, you are prepared, you're ready for it, and you're going to hit the ground running. So first and foremost, huge shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support of this channel. This graphic is ever changing. It blows my mind. You all are amazing human beings. If you're interested in joining channel memberships, link in the description down below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, comment, and let's get into this video. So I want to scroll to the Discord here, right? And I'm going to show you guys a question from, let's see if it's going to actually show. Come on. There we go. From Andrew Bradshaw here. And he says, I'm confused on Conquest pre-4 million GP. I don't really get the point of spending 7 days for a random Gear 12 piece when I can buy it from raid rewards. And then I said, Conquest is about the long game. Really good video. Building habits, so you guys will get here, right? When it truly matters that, easy and medium aren't as important in Conquest as the hard mode. But you got to build your habits now. We'll get into that and why I think that. And then the next one was here from DRX where he said, first thing is stupid feats which require Conquest units. Most stuff like Cal are so stupid that I just don't want to bother doing it. Second is currency. I should only buy shards from there, but all the gear and signal data will make much more of an impact than getting shards from a character I will not unlock anytime soon. Malicos Trench, Ben Solo, all of them, even if I got them right now, will make no impact to my account, and all the other ones are locked by Proving Grounds, which again, I can't sim yet. And he goes on to say how he has to, pray for Malgus shards each month, and that he only does the minimum effort because, he just right now, it's a big struggle, especially in this current Conquest. And I would agree that this current iteration of Conquest is probably the most ridiculous in terms of feats. So what can, how to answer their questions. So I want to start with Andrew's, and I want to kind of start with DRX's where they said, what's the point of playing Conquest pre-4 million? And this idea kind of sprang to mind when I was at church this past weekend, and my pastor said that he brought this point, that's great life advice, but for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it also really applies that we do not determine our future. We determine our habits, and our habits are what determine our future. And I thought that, one, it's a great message for your life, but in Galaxy of Heroes, it's so true that if you are doing the minimal in Conquest right now because you're in normal mode, and then tomorrow hard mode Conquest rolls around, you're not in the habit of giving Conquest your all. So the first time that it gets difficult, are you going to be able to overcome that? Or are you just going to be like, I'm not going to get this character anyway. What's the point? And then you're in this bad habit where Conquest is just this thing that, if it's too hard, I'm not going to do it. Make your habits, you heard your parents always used to say it, right? That, you don't develop bad habits. And it's the same thing with your Conquest, right? Get in the habit of giving it everything because eventually it's going to be at the point where if you don't, you are missing out on things right now. You think the difference between putting a little bit of effort into Conquest and getting to box 6 versus getting box 5 is that you're obtaining a character in 6 Conquests. You're obtaining them now compared to waiting around for Proving Grounds. So it is really, really important to build those habits and do Conquest now because down the road, even if you're in normal mode right now and you're like, Phil, I don't really get anything for it, down the road you will. Get those habits now. And during that normal mode Conquest, what you want to be doing, learn what characters get feats done. Understand the complexities of those feats and see, can you get 3 feats done at once with the same character? That if they're asking for kills with a droid, you need to inflict blind and you need to get evasion down. Your Chupio should spring to your head. Droid, evasion down, blind, right? That's just like one example. But think about the ways that you can get all those different feats. Learn the character kits, so that way when you get to hard mode Conquest, what's going to make you the difference between a player who gets, box, 2 to box 4 could be that you might do the same amount of battles, but you're working on multiple feats at the same time with that battle. So learn the kits in your easy and normal mode Conquest so that when hard mode comes around, you're prepared, right? That you're ready for, hey, I see this, I know what to do. Same thing goes for the whole no attackers, no supports, no tanks. Learn what teams have those characters in them. Did you guys know, I don't think many people realize this, that you can build so many different Imperial Trooper teams without an attacker. Right here, just for the sake of argument, this team right here, that's all support characters. That is 5 support characters. You can go look that up, and that is all support characters. And you're like, oh, Phil, well, I don't have Range Trooper, and I don't have Stark. Okay, well, do you have Shore Trooper? Do you have Stormtrooper? Right? There you go. I mean, we just got Scout Trooper, who's also a support. You could throw Scout Trooper in there. I mean, and then let's say they're like, oh, well, you need to win without tanks. Well, guess what? I get to bring in your Dark Trooper because he's not a tank. So, again, just think outside the box a little bit. Test those things. Traya Triumvirate. Those 3 characters, those 3 Sith are not attackers. There's 2 supports and a tank, in Scion. Throw some other Sith in there who aren't attackers. There you go. The whole Night Sister faction, most of those people are not attackers. Easy wins. No tanks, Commander Luke Skywalker's your answer. And again, General Grievous droids, if there's no support, you can use the General Grievous Separatist droids. Again, use your normal mode Conquest to develop those habits of, I use this team for this team for this team for this. And when you get to hard mode, you're prepared and you're ready for it. Yes, it's going to be harder, but you know what you need to do to get those feats done. Now, to answer their question on what you should be purchasing, I think Gear and Signal Data is a great option, because it is going to help your account in the here and the now. Proving Grounds is a very long time away for the current characters. So there's not a lot of benefit. They're all right. There's not a lot of benefit there because it's going to take them, eons to unlock those characters. So focusing on the here and now can build their roster to, 1, get to 4 million GP, which is the most important milestone to get to in this game, if we're being honest. 4 million GP unlocks so much, right, between hard mode Conquest and Proving Grounds. So getting more gear, getting more signal data from Conquest. And that's why you want to get in that habit of completing Conquest. You get more Conquest currency, that's more rewards that you're getting that your opponent isn't. So think of it that way. That if you're comparing yourself to somebody else and one person gets the max crate in normal mode Conquest and you get box 1 in normal mode Conquest, this account is going to eventually start outpacing your growth. All other things, the same, this account is going to grow so much faster because they've been getting more rewards, not just in terms of the box, but in terms of all the rest of the currency they're earning along that way. So, like I said, because Proving Grounds is so far away, you need to think about all the other rewards you can get with that Conquest currency that help you build to that point. And if you are someone who says, I really want to focus on Shards, Malgus and Commander Tano are 2 that I would recommend. If you want to just focus on a character and try and get them before Proving Grounds, these 2 are your tickets. Now, what's difficult there is you have to rely on the Conquest store. And your Conquest currency caps to a certain extent. That you cannot have more Conquest currency than a certain amount on hand at each time. That is something to be aware of. And if you're going to hit that point, hey, just, you're going to hit this 3,500, you're going to cap out, go buy some gear, buy some relic salvage, and then kind of keep this number that you can come down here. And if Malgus or, Ahsoka Tano, whichever one of them, I would not do both, focus just on one. If they show up for some Conquest currency, go ahead and buy them. That could really help your account. If that's something you really want to do, you could do that and put the work in early, so that way maybe you get them before Proving Grounds, or maybe you get to 4 million and you only need 20 more shards for Commander Tano. Man, you're rocking and rolling. You've got a huge head start. So that is something that you can consider doing if you want to really play the long game. But I think that the here and now, focusing on that gear and signal data, probably a little bit more beneficial for a lot of accounts. But you will get some of that from just doing well in Conquest. That box 7 does give you more of that stuff that you'll be able to work through. So do want to at least mention that, guys. I understand that it can be really difficult and it can suck, but think about the rewards. It's more than just the character shards in there. Now, this is something that I want to at least mention a little bit as well. Let's say that Malicos comes out and he's really, really good, or Gideon comes out and he's really, really good. And your account is in a position where you could benefit from that. You know, Justin, I'm looking at you at Terran Malicos. Maybe you don't have Maul yet. But if Malicos is really, really good and you've been getting shards for him, you could potentially spend the rest of your Conquest currency every single time just buying as many Malicos shards as you can. And if you do that and you're successful, you buy those shards and you unlock him before you could get to Proving Grounds or before he'd be there, your account could be eons ahead if he's really that good with Lord Vader. New Beskar Gideon coming out. For those of you who are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get him. If that's something that you really want to focus on, you could go and get that character. And yes, you know what? You're setting yourself up to potentially not get as many shards of the current Conquest character. But if that current one isn't going to help your roster, may as well work towards one that is going to help your roster. So that is something that you can think about. That, it's okay to not have to focus completely on that. Like a Boba Fett sign of Django. Who the heck cares? Like, that was a Conquest that I did not take seriously whatsoever. And I didn't really have any regrets about that. He was a terrible character. My regret was that I didn't work harder in that Conquest to earn better rewards. So if you are going to think about purchasing shards for a character, focus on a single one, just like you would in the Conquest store, but pick one that's going to help your account. Because the big issue with Proving Grounds, and this is where I think, I still stand by the fact that I think 4 million galactic power is a very good stopping point for Proving Grounds, because pre 4 million GP, most players are not in a position where they can take advantage of these characters. With, I think, Commander Tano and Darth Malgus being the outliers there. The issue with Proving Grounds is that it's designed with players who've earned shards in mind. I don't think Capital Games was really pondering too much when they thought about a newer, like you start an account today and you do Proving Grounds. By the time you get to Proving Grounds, there could be like 9 characters that if you're able to complete all of those Proving Grounds, there's 9 characters you're going to unlock all on the same day. Like, what? You think about that you unlock Malgus, Commander Tano, Maul, Ben Solo, Trench, Boba Fett, all these characters all at once. You're going to unlock all of them, all day one, all the same day, boom, done. Like, that's the big problem with the Proving Grounds, is I don't think that there was a lot of thought into what about the accounts that weren't around for these conquests. And if that's the case, the one thing you could do is save your crystals. You could do refreshes to get some characters faster, but 2,000 crystals is a lot. Now, for 20 shards of a fantastic character, I mean, that, that's pretty worth it. In terms of, you think it's, for a new character, it's about 80 crystals per shard. For a older character, you're looking at 40. So for a Conquest character, I think they do it about 110, crystals per shard, somewhere in that range. Is it 100? I don't know what the exact number is, but someone, find out and tell me what it is. But anyway, Proving Grounds, it takes long to get there. It's a long time to get there. Like, if you're going to focus on the shards, focus on a single character that will help your account, and that will probably do more for you than just kind of spreading it out and waiting all at that same time. Because again, like I said, the vast majority of you guys below 4 million, I mean, those are the only 2 characters you really want. Padme team for Commander Tano, or the people who decided to rush Jedi Master Kenobi thinking that he's the best GL, not recognizing that it's all because of her. Oh, and then like Darth Malgus with the Sith Empire, who's a very easy thing to get and elevates them to a level that they just were not at before. Like, those are kind of the big things. So I want to end this video here with one last, couple, we'll wrap it up, and one last thought for you guys. What I think would be awesome with Conquest below hard mode, because it's capped, right? There's a certain, the shards you get in box 7 aren't, I think it's box 7 in normal mode is the equivalent of box 1 in hard mode, something like that. But what I think they should allow in normal mode Conquest is you to pick your reward. That any character that has been in Conquest ever, you should be able to pick your reward. Because you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm making progress towards Terran Malicos, I'm making progress towards this or that. But again, with Proving Grounds being as far away as it is, I feel it's a lot more impactful if you'd be able to unlock Commander Tano earlier. And Capital Games could make the case of, oh, well, that's going to cost us money. I think far more players, you guys could correct me on this, but I think far more players would be interested in buying a Conquest pass, buying things, if the character that they were obtaining is one that they want. A lot of you don't want Terran Malicos. A lot of you want Darth Malgus. I guarantee you could increase revenue if you said, hey, normal mode Conquest players, you can go and pick Darth Malgus as your character, and oh, if you buy the Conquest pass, the Conquest Pass Plus, you're going to get the, extra, you're going to get extra of this or extra of that, so, like, just think about that. That is something that I'd love to see. I doubt they'll do it, but I'd love to see that, and I think that's one way to fix it, is letting you pick your rewards so that way you can get your hands on some of these characters that are more impactful. And you're not necessarily, like, it's helping a newer player get a character, but in reality, it is setting you back because you're further away from getting something else that you may need down the road. So again, Conquest is all about the long game. You need to be developing those habits so that way when you get to your future self at 4 million, you're ready for this, because I can tell you that Conquest is a grind, and it's something that as your account grows, you'll see yourself progressing further and further and further, and it gets easier. And if you get in this mindset that, oh, the feats are hard and I don't feel like doing it, or you don't learn what things do certain stuff, you're just going to end up hurting yourself and not getting the rewards that you not only need but deserve for the work you put in. So I do want to leave it at that. Below 4 million, again, wrapping that up, gear and signal data is a great option. I think that'll help your account. But if you're not looking for that, use your Conquest store stuff and focus on a single character. Or if you really want a newer one, pick one out and just buy their shards every single time, and you can unlock them before Proving Grounds. And I think that would be fantastic. I think that's a really smart thing to do, of just, you got to pick a singular one, put all your eggs in that basket, and move on. And because so many of us content creators, especially guys who get them in 3 Conquest, do all this testing, you'll know whether that character's worth investing in. So set yourself up right, do as much of Conquest as you can, and then once you get to hard mode, you'll see what we talk about, how ridiculous it is. But that's the video. Hopefully it answers your guys' questions. Like, subscribe, comment. And I do apologize that I just don't have as much line of sight to Conquest below that. I can tell you right now, I will not be doing normal mode Conquest just to try and sympathize with you guys. That is not happening. That would set my account back so far. It's just so crazy, but I would set my account back so far. I cannot do that. I'm not going to pretend any other way. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. I love all you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.